right. Thank you, everybody who danced with me today. That was a lot of fun. My name's Caelan, if anybody doesn't know, and today we're going to talk about 10 fun games to play on Zoom. Now, the first thing that I'd like everybody to do is to find that button up in the corner that says either speaker view or gallery view. And I'd like you to come into gallery view so that we can see everybody. You should see a grid of multiple people. Hi, Joaquin. Everybody give a wave if you're here and you can hear me. Yay! Awesome. Great. Thank you so much for coming. Now, did anybody come here to have fun? Can I see a show of hands? Who's here to have fun? Yeah! Awesome. Great. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to play a lot of fun games. We're going to have a really great time. And oh man, I'm super excited about today. We had a whole bunch of people register. So before we get started, I want to let everybody know that a couple people are going to come in about now. And so what I'm doing now is I'm drawing out the opening so that as people enter, they're not missing one of the games. I really want to get started on this game, but some people take a couple minutes to enter. And so this is something that you can do in the beginning of your Zoom meetings, is an unofficial start, where you have something to kind of hold the space from before your meeting starts to after it's already begun. And I usually like to go until 2 or 3 minutes after the start time in my unofficial start. And so now I want to get started with the first game. I'd like us all to practice high fives. Can you high five yourself? Yeah? Awesome. Can you high five to the side? And the other side? Okay, now we're going to try and connect. But to do this game, you need to know where your stop video button is. If you look in your Zoom toolbar, there's a button there that says stop video. And go ahead and press that button and turn it on and off to see what happens when you stop your video and start it. Great, great. Okay, so everybody put your videos on. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick one side or the other to do a high five. And if you connect with somebody on the other side, you're going to leave your camera on. But if somebody leaves you hanging, turn your camera off. And then we'll do a second round and maybe a third round and see by process of elimination who can keep their high fives happening. So on the count of 3, we're all going to do a high five together. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. So did somebody leave you hanging? I was left hanging. I'm turning off my camera. If you connected, leave your camera on. But if you didn't connect, turn your camera off. We're going to do another round. High five to the side on 1, 2, 3. Give a high five. Great, great. Now, if you connected, keep your camera on. If you didn't connect, turn your camera off. Great, great. Oh, it's getting intense. We're going to do a third round. High five to the side on 1, 2, 3. Give a high five. Great. Now, did you connect? Keep your camera on if you did. And if you didn't, turn your camera off. Great. Okay. All right. Now, let's all turn our cameras back on. And let's all come forward. Did anybody notice that when people you saw connected, they still turned their camera off? Or when you saw somebody not connect, they kept their camera on. Did anybody notice that? Show of hands. Yeah, did you see that? Why do you think that happened? Does anybody have an idea? Yeah, Susan, saw you raise your hand. What's your idea?
We're all in different places for everybody's different camera.
Absolutely right. Everybody point to Susan. Where is Susan in your grid compared to you? Okay, now everybody point to Joaquin. Where is Joaquin in your grid? Oh, he's over here. Yeah. Now everybody point to Sonia. Where's Sonia in your grid? Yeah, you see, we're all pointing in different places because the Zoom grid lays us out in different places. And so what you see as your grid isn't necessarily what everyone else sees. And this is something to remember when you're leading a meeting on Zoom. The way that you show up and interact with people on Zoom might not be the way that everybody else is showing up and interacting. So I'm going to go into some of the mechanics behind why this is, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here using a really neat app called That's actually the name. It's called And it's in beta. It does a lot of really fun things. And so what I'd like you to do now is to toggle between speaker view and gallery view and go to speaker view so that you can see me bigger. Everybody look at me. Time to look at me, everyone. Actually, no, it's time to look at my slides. And I'm going to get out of the way so that we can go through just a real brief presentation. This is going to be no longer than 10 minutes. And then we're going to get into the other 9 games. But before we start playing those games, I want to give you a little bit of a foundation on why these games work the way they do, okay? Here's a brief agenda. We're going to talk about Zoom fatigue and why play is the antidote to Zoom fatigue. I'll share with you some secrets of Zoom leadership and how to train your attendees on the basic Zoom functions they need in order to participate. And then we're going to go through the next 9 games that you can play on Zoom. We already did the first one today. Anybody who showed up a little late, we played high fives to the side, and we've got 9 more games coming up before the top of the hour. And then at the end of this 1-hour interactive session, I'm going to stick around for Q&A. So that if anybody has any questions about leading good Zoom meetings or about the tech or about creating an event, I'll be around for a little bit after the presentation is done. A lot of this is documented in the Zoom host checklist, which you should have already received with the link to today's Zoom meeting. But if you didn't, I'll pop it in the chat later. And I just revised this checklist, so now it's in version 3.0. And the new version has descriptions of all the games that we're doing today so that you can lead these games yourself in your next meeting. Zoom fatigue is a real thing. Has anybody here ever experienced Zoom fatigue before? Can I see a show of hands? Yeah. So why does Zoom fatigue happen? Is it something that is a natural state, or are there specific causes? With all of us online so much, I've found that there are 4 big causes of Zoom fatigue. The first problem is that we're learning a lot of new technology, and this is difficult for us to adapt to. There's a whole new interface, and there's all these new buttons that we have to learn just to talk to people. The second problem is that just a click away is the most highly addictive technology on the planet. Social media is designed to be addictive, and I'm trying to keep your attention. If we were in a meeting, in a room, together, I could say, hey, put down your phones. I want your attention. But I can't do that now. I know that just a click away is email and Facebook and everything else that can distract you. The third problem is that all of our meetings are happening in the same place. Gian Pietro Petriglieri put it great. He said, imagine going to a bar and meeting your professor and your teammates at work and your parents and your date all in the same location. Wouldn't that be weird? But that's what we're doing here in Zoom, is we're all having all of our meetings in the same place. But the fourth and the biggest problem, I think, is that we're not moving. We're calcifying in our chairs, and we're staying in the same place for meeting after meeting. We don't even have the luxury of standing up and walking down the hall to get to a new place. So out of these 4 problems, I'd like to know which one affects you the most. Go ahead and type a number in the chat box and let me know. Is learning new tech a problem for you? Type number 1. If the distraction for other social media and email apps is hard for you, type number 2. If it's the monotony of place, type number 3. And if it's the lack of movement, type number 4. And let me know in the chat box which one you struggle with. Seeing lots of 3s and 2s, 4s all over the place. Yeah. Lisa says 1 and 4. Christina says 2 and 4. Yeah. These are big problems, but they're not insurmountable problems. The easiest way to solve all of these problems is through play. Play allows us to return to a state where we can self-direct into what we enjoy. They've done a lot of studies to find that that play actually heals our psychology. We need play to rejuvenate. And I love what Melissa Dinwiddie says. She says it's never self-indulgent to restore your energy. If you're facing Zoom fatigue and your team is bored and their eyes are glazed over, taking a 2-minute break to play a quick game, it's going to make you more effective. they did this great big study on the effectiveness of recess. And what they found was that after a 20-minute recess, children had longer attention spans and they were able to retain information longer. But this didn't happen after PE class. The same results weren't found after they were in a structured play environment. It's when they were unstructured, when they were allowed to move themselves into what brought them joy. And in Zoom meetings, this is like the difference between being a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer can accurately gauge the temperature of a room, but a thermostat can set the temperature. And that's what you can do in your Zoom meeting. Your energy leads the group energy. And if you have a high energy and invite people to play, then other people will naturally come along with you. If somebody attends your meeting, the basic bare minimum is just that they're listening to what you say, but they're not actively participating. They're just passive. What we want to do is we want to get people to react and to respond to what you bring to them. Otherwise, they're going to get distracted and start ignoring you. This could get better and worse. People could contribute proactively to your meeting, or they could destructively sabotage your meeting. And the way that you show up is going to cause the difference. The biggest thing that you can do to move people up this engagement ladder is to ask them to respond. The more responses that you can get, the more likely that they're going to be proactive and contribute to your meeting. That's why a lot of meetings start with asking for responses right away. Hey, what city are you in? Type it in the chat box. Can you see my slides? Let me see your thumb. These get people to react early, because if you can get people to react, you can get them to participate. That's why I start my meetings with an unofficial start. It gives some people something to do, like the dance party we did today, if they arrive early. But it also extends the meeting by a few minutes. So if people arrive late, then they haven't missed any of the critical content. I love what Priya Parker says in The Art of Gathering. She says that your opening needs to be a kind of pleasant shock therapy, that it should both awe them and honor them, and make them feel totally welcomed and deeply grateful to be there. So now I want to go over a quick bit of training on how to use the microphone. Now, if you look in your Zoom toolbar, you can see that you've got a microphone that you can turn on and off. Go ahead and try that. See what it's like to take yourself off of mute and onto mute. Yep. Great, great. So if I want to mute everyone because I'm on a Mac, then what I can do is use this hotkey, Command Control M. And if you're on a Windows, it's Alt M. Go ahead and type and write this down. If you're on a Mac, write down Command Control M. If you're on a Windows, write down Alt M. This is a hotkey that you can use anytime you're in Zoom, so that if you hear somebody's background noise overtaking your meeting, then all you have to do is hit this hotkey, and immediately it mutes everyone else. And there's this neat thing that you can do with the space bar. You can hold the space bar to unmute yourself, just like a walkie-talkie. So try that. Put yourself on mute and then hold down the space bar. Yeah, you see how that works?
Hello.
Hello. Great. That worked great. Okay, so now I want everybody to try something. I'm going to ask you a question, and everybody's going to answer at the same time, but hold the space bar down first. All right? So after I ask this question, hold the space bar down and everybody answer at the same time. You ready? Really ready? I can tell. Okay. So I've now muted everybody. Hold the space bar and answer this question. If you put a roast in a roaster, what do you put in a toaster?
Toast.
Bread.
You put toast in a toaster, you put bread in a toaster. So that's one of the neat things that you can do with Zoom. And that kind of quick training at the beginning of your presentation is often all you need to get somebody ready to play a game. And so we've got 10 games that we're going to go through today. We already did the first game, high fives to the side. And now I want to go through the next 9 games that we have here. You don't need to write these down. I've documented these in the Zoom host checklist The big addition that I made yesterday is I went in and I put descriptions on how to facilitate each one of these games so that you can do this yourself in your future Zoom meetings, okay? Now let me come back over this way, and now from speaker view, go ahead and toggle the gallery view so that you can see everybody, okay? Great, so now we're all here. What I'm gonna do now is split us up into breakout rooms. And while you're in a breakout room, I'm gonna pair you up with 2 to 3 people. And what I want you to do is I want you to discover how many things you all have in common. Okay, we're gonna be gone for 2 minutes, and in that amount of time, I want you to list everything that all of you have in common, okay? All right, I'll see you back here in a couple minutes. All right, so this is the part in the recording that everybody else doesn't get to see. Funny thing about Zoom recordings, they don't go into breakout rooms. So breakout rooms can be private. You can actually talk in breakout rooms candidly without having other people hear what you're saying. So that's why I like breakout rooms, for facilitating deep discussion. But right now, we're just finding out how many things people have in common. And I doubt dangerous things are going to be said. Maybe they will. Maybe it turns out that everybody there has, crossed the border into Mexico with an illegal surplus of contraband in their trunk. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? But we're not going to see it in the recording. All right. So now we've gotten to 1 minute. I'm going to give them a 1-minute warning. Oh, and what I did, if you're facilitating this, if you're watching this to lead your own games, I sent them a broadcast message immediately after they went in there that repeated the instructions. Hardy, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I didn't mean to come back. I abandoned my group.
Who needs them anyway, right? But if they all abandon the room too, then that's something else you have in common. Okay, we've got about 30 more seconds before everybody arrives.
I tried to hold up my computer to show them the ocean to see if everybody loves the ocean. Here we go.
Oh, awesome. That's beautiful. Gosh, so gorgeous down there. And I think that would have been an easy gimme. Do you love the ocean? Of course, everyone loves the ocean. Except for maybe desert people, I guess. I could see why desert people would have a problem with it. All right, so how did that go? Did anybody get a really high number where you think that you're the winner out of all of us? 10. Seeing some 6s, got a 7. Great, 5. Excellent. 8, wonderful. So who had the 10? Can somebody volunteer from the 10 side? How did you find so many?
Okay, so I took the notes, and we just started brainstorming as fast as we could, all the things. And we did stretch a little, like none of us had shoes on, and we live in different places, so we're all alike that way. We all live somewhere different.
Oh,
so we got a little creative with it.
Clever. I love it. I love it. Yeah, usually the winning team has something really clever. Like, we all have left shoes. We all have right shoes.
We just all had no shoes.
And no shoes, which means you also have a left foot and a right foot.
A right foot. We could have had 12 then. Yeah.
Annie's team has all been to Mexico. Ellen's team didn't count because you just got a lot. Reminds me of that tribe in, I think it's somewhere in Peloponnesia, where there's a tribe that their counting system is 1, 2, and more than 2. So they count everything by, is that more than 2 of these? Yes, there's more than 2 of those. Okay, so I'm going to drop a link in the Skype chat here. Excuse me, Zoom chat. I've been saying Skype chat for so long, I still get stuck on that. What I'd like you to do is to open this YouTube video, put it on pause, and then hit the mute button on the YouTube player so that there's going to be no volume on this. All right? So everybody's going to watch this at the same time. This is a point of view roller coaster ride. If you need to skip an ad, Just put it on mute to skip the ad and then get to the beginning of the video. Okay? And then hit pause. Okay, so now we're at the end of the video. I want you to realign your Zoom window so that you can have your YouTube player on one side and the gallery view on the other side of your screen, so that you can see both the YouTube player and the people in a grid. Kelly's got a thumbs up. Great. Great. This is kind of
I have a doubt.
What's that?
Do I need to share my screen, or
No,
how are we going to
Well, there's two ways to do it. The first is that you resize the window for Zoom and you put it on half of your screen, and you resize the YouTube.
I did that.
Yeah. So if you can't do that, what I'd recommend you do is put it in full screen for Zoom and just watch the gallery view. Okay? Because to participate in this exercise, you really need to see both of them, the YouTube player and the Zoom grid. But if you have to pick one, I'd say turn your camera off and just watch the Zoom grid so you can see what happens. Now let's all hit play on this video at the same time, okay? 3, 2, 1, hit play. Okay, so we've been standing in line all this time, and now we're sitting down. We're ready to take this roller coaster together, okay? We're gonna get way up there. It's gonna take some time. So if you're in a place where you can scream, take your microphone off of mute. But if you can't scream where you are, stay on mute, but let me see your scream.
Oh, so exciting.
Yeah! Come off,
yeah.
so come off of mute and show me your screen. Yeah!
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know,
Nice.
we're not to the top yet.
It's a long way up. Here we go.
Oh my goodness.
Man, I'm getting nervous.
Hate this part. Oh.
I know, the anticipation.
I still don't know how to do this.
Okay, over halfway. Here we
Yeah.
go. Here
So
we
Anna,
go.
you can
This
put your
is very
YouTube
tall.
player on one side and your Zoom grid on the other side of your screen by resizing the window. That's the best way to do it. But if you can't do that, just go full screen with the grid and watch, because we're gonna do
Here we
this.
go, here we go, here we
There
go.
it is. Oh, that's a little one. Okay.
Well, I can
Okay.
handle this. This isn't too bad.
Yeah, I feel the wind in my hair.
It's invigorating. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still
Oh,
didn't know
God,
how to do that. I put it on full screen.
Whoa. Loop-de-loop. Loop-de-loop.
Net flip. Oh.
Carol.
Lean to the side.
Oh, about to get dark.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness.
Tunnel. Oh, geez. Okay.
Oh, God. Is it over? Is it
This
over?
is seriously
Oh,
spooky.
it's dark.
Whoa.
Can't see anything. Oh my
I don't know
gosh.
if I should be screaming. Ah.
Back into the light. Back.
There we
Oh,
go.
here it comes.
Another dip here.
That was
Another one. Another one.
kind of intense, but we're going high again. Oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah, there's
I
less
would love
than a
to know
minute
how to
left.
do this. I'm not being able to do it.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but your stomach will thank you, because all sorts of things in here. Lean to the side. Man.
Get taken off now.
And we flip again. Jeez, I'm gonna barf. Oh my gosh.
All right. All right. That was good.
Great work, everybody.
All right.
Great fun. So show of hands, how many people could not participate in the exercise? Yeah? A few of you. And how did that make you feel? Somebody come off of mute and tell me how it made you feel.
Oh, disappointed.
Yeah? Who else? Radical honesty time.
Frustrated.
Frustrated. Yeah. Frustration, disappointment. These things happen when we introduce a game that has a high technical component. And so if you introduce a game that's complicated, the more that you leave people out, the less they're going to engage. And what we want in leading a Zoom meeting is we want to cohere. We want the entire group together. And every time you bring something to the meeting that only some of us can participate in, then it's going to break that group, that ensemble. So for those of you who weren't able to participate, I apologize. But I wanted to demonstrate what happens when the ensemble is broken. Every time you come together as a group, we're all in this together. And the more that you can keep everyone on the same page, the tighter your ensemble is going to be. So now let's do a game that everybody can play. Everybody with a camera can play the scavenger hunt. And what I want you to do is I want you to look around and find something that's blue and show it to us. Get something that's blue and show us in your camera something that's blue. Yeah, lots of blue. Lots of blue. Look at that. Some sticky notes, some rocks, awesome hamburger buns. Love it. Great. Okay, next, I want you to find something that's borrowed. Something you borrowed from somebody else. Look around. What do you have that's borrowed? Show us something that's borrowed. Highlighters. Nice. A webcam. A tape dispenser. Nice. Nice. A spoon. I hope you wash that spoon before you bring it back, Hardy. Awesome. Okay, so next, I want you to find something that your parents would not understand. If you showed it to your parents, they would have no idea what it is. Find something your parents would not understand. Your poetry. Awesome. Your smartphone. Of course, who knows? Parents don't understand smartphones. Wow, what the? I don't understand what that is, Cher. Wow. A VR headset? That's great. Excellent. Okay, so for the last item of the scavenger hunt, find something that still has the price tag on it. What do you have around you that still has the price tag on it? Yeah, price tag on a book. That's a good one. Yep, on some webcam covers, on a bear. Yep, on a journal. Nice. Nice. Excellent. Great work, everyone. Great work. Did anybody get all four? Hold up 4 fingers if you got all 4. Yeah, hooray! Everybody give a round of applause to everybody who got 4. Yay. Now, how do we feel now? After a game that everyone could participate in, is it better?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone can play. I mean, you remember what it's like on a recess playground and everybody plays a game except you? You feel left out? That's not a feeling we want to give to everyone. If we want to have a strong Zoom meeting where everybody's having a good time, we want to make sure that everyone can come with us. So this next game that we're going to play is Mad Libs. And this uses a tool called Flippity. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here to show you how this works. Flippity is a really cool tool. If you've never heard of flippity.net, I linked to this in the Zoom host checklist, but flippity.net, it's got a lot of really easy to use tools for facilitating a meeting. So I'd like somebody to pick one of these 6 options. First person to unmute and tell me which option to pick. That's what I'm picking.
Okay.
Cooking.
I heard fairy tale first. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so now I'm going to nominate people to give me each of these items, and we're going to make a Mad Libs together, okay? So for the first one, Jen Mien, I want to hear a number greater than 1.
53.
53. Hardy, name some animals. Hold the space bar to come off mute.
Dolphin.
Dolphins. Awesome. All right, Jim Clark, tell me a breakfast food.
Wheat Bix. I don't know if you guys know what Wheat Bix are.
Yeah, I'm in New Zealand right now, so I know all about Weet-Bix. Joaquin, tell me a female name.
Let's go with Sharon.
Sharon. All right. And Susan, tell me an adjective, a word that describes something else.
Red.
Red. Great. Cher, tell me another adjective.
Huge.
Huge. That's a good one. I'm putting that in caps.
Yeah.
Huge. Awesome. Bob, tell me a noun. You're still on mute, Bob.
Person.
What is that?
Book.
A book.
Yes.
Awesome. Great. Sonia, tell me an adjective, a descriptor word.
Tiny.
Tiny. Oh, that's going to be good. Alicia, tell me another adjective.
Prickly.
Prickly. All right. Tim Kraus, tell me a noun.
Cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee. Good one. All right. Jacqueline, tell me an adjective.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. I love that word. All right. And Makana, tell me a command.
Go.
Go. All right. So now we're going to read a story. Once upon a time, there were 53.
On the floor.
What's that? Okay, once upon a time, there were 53 dolphins. One morning, they decided to go for a stroll, as dolphins do, while their Weet-Bix cooled down. After they left, a girl named Sharon entered their house. First, she ate their breakfast and said, too red. Then she sat down on their huge book and said, too tiny. Finally, she laid down on the prickly cup of coffee and said, this is brilliant. She fell asleep. The animals returned and noticed that someone had eaten their breakfast. Suddenly, she woke up, screamed, go, and ran from the house. So there's the Mad Libs, a silly story. How many people enjoyed the story? Yeah. How many people still would have enjoyed the story even if we didn't contribute to it? Yeah, a couple people. Yeah, it's kind of weird without the contribution. But the contribution collected from the group, this is what gets people invested. There's a big difference between telling something to a meeting full of people and asking a meeting full of people what they think. You can communicate the same content, but when people are asked to contribute, that means they're invested. And I'll give you another example. We're going to play another game called the Story Circle. And in the Story Circle, I'm going to need 8 volunteers. All right? So if you're going to be one of the volunteers, keep your camera on. Everybody else, turn your camera off if you don't want to be put on the spotlight. And we need to keep turning cameras off until we have a grid of 8 people. Okay? And there is an option. Shoot. Where is that option? Okay, so if you go into, there's a button where it says stop video, there's that little arrow. If you click on that and go to video settings, there's a checkbox to hide non-video participants. And go ahead and check that box so that way you can see just the grid of 9 to 10 people. Alejandra, if you can hear me, go ahead. Perfect. Okay, so excellent. Okay, so we have a grid of nearly 9 people. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna ask you all to rename yourselves. So if you click on the participants button in your Zoom toolbar, hover over your own name, just the people who are here on the call, or here on the grid. Hover over your own name, and where it says more, click on that to go to rename. And then when you open the rename field, I'd like you to put a number and a dash before your name, and I'll give you your number. Bob, you're 1. Sonia, you're 2. Jacqueline, you're 3. I'm gonna be 4. Anna, you're 5. Sherry, you're 6. Anna, you're 7. Davida, you're 8. And Alejandra, if you can hear me, you're 9. Jacqueline, do you see how to rename yourself? Great. Excellent. Everybody have a number? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Excellent. Okay, so now for story circle, this takes a little bit of training of your group to get them all up together. For story circle, what we're going to do is we're going to tell a story one word at a time. Bob, you're going to say the first word of the story. Sonia, just like predictive text, you're going to say the next word, and we're going to go on in order. So everybody take yourself off of mute. And Bob, get us started with a word.
1.
Day.
There.
Was.
Something.
Wild.
There's no 7.
There's
Oh,
two
Alejandra
Annas.
7?
There are 2 5s.
Oh, we've
There
got
are two
2
five. There are
5s.
2 Annas. So
Okay,
of
which
us
one
is
of you wants?
7.
Which one of you wants to be 7?
Anna still, the other Anna still has her mute on. There you go.
Oh, it's because you're both Anna, and I said, Anna, you're 5. What do I know? Yeah, okay, so Anna Lilia, if you could please change yours to number 7. Great. Okay, now let's get started again. Bob, kick us off.
1.
Day.
There.
Could.
B.
Some.
Couldn't hear you, Anna Lilia. No, your microphone's not working.
You can type it in the chat. Oh, people. One
People.
day could be people. Laughing.
Bob. So Bob, it comes back to you.
Oh, I thought it was Alejandro, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think she's with us.
Right. Laughing. Loudly.
Because.
They.
It's you, Caelan.
Oh,
Caelan.
forgot. Forgot to you, Anna.
Everything.
They.
And then Anna Lilia, type it up. Yeah, Twanda typed in the chat, we get the concept. So everybody bring your cameras back. So this is a great example of how games can work differently with new groups and established groups. If we were an established group and we'd met each other on Zoom every day or every week, and we all had the same training on how to rename ourselves, a game like this is a lot more suitable than a game for new people. And so think about this with the when you introduce games into your meetings. If it's a new group, the tech burden should be lower. But if it's an established group that you've been meeting with for a long time and everyone knows everyone, you can have more advanced groups that are more difficult. Okay, so now we're going to play Terrible Presents. I'm going to send you into breakout rooms in pairs. And each of you is going to give a terrible present to the other person. The worst present you can think of. The person with the shortest hair goes first. And you each have 1 minute. The person with the shortest hair gives a terrible present. And the other person, the receiver, has to express genuine gratitude and find a reason to thank the other person for the terrible present. And then after a minute, you switch. Okay? Everybody get the game? Yeah, can I see some thumbs? Great. Okay. So now we're going to be in pairs, and I'll see you back here in a couple minutes.
Hi, I'm having problems with my internet. Sorry, it's too slow and my computer is freezing.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But you know what's really great is I got you this entire server stack. You can put it in your house, and I know it's going to take, the entire room, and it might give off a lot of heat and noise, but it'll make your internet faster. And I got it for you.
Well, sorry for messing up this, but I'm having problems here with the internet.
Right.
Sorry.
You're here to have fun. That's what counts.
Yeah, true.
Now,
Yeah,
would you like
true.
to give me a terrible present?
A terrible trip. Right. What about burnt cake? Burnt out cake. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's so unique. I'm gonna give this to my pigeons. They'll love it.
Good idea. I'm sure they will.
There we go. So does everybody like their presents? Anybody want to share what you got? Yeah, Ellen, what did you get?
I got a loaf of liverwurst. And I think my partner actually thought that my mother would be thrilled for me to give it to her, because I think I did a good job.
That's great. Anybody else want to share? Did you get a really terrible present? All right. Who would actually take their terrible present if it was given to them in real life? Yeah? Who got really grossed out and thinks that it was super terrible? Great. Great. Okay, so now we're going to play rock, paper, scissors. If you don't know how to play rock, paper, scissors, it goes like this. You do this 3 times and you either have rock, paper, or scissors. Scissors beats rock, rock beats paper, paper covers, wait, no. Scissors beats rock, rock beats, no, how does this work? Somebody tell me how this works.
Rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, paper covers beats rock.
Got it. Okay, great. Great. Okay, so now we've got the rules down. I'm not very good at this game, which is why everybody's going to play against me. Okay? You're going to all do rock, paper, scissors with me. And based on what I choose, if you win, you stay in and you keep your camera on. If you lose and I beat you, turn your camera off. But unmute yourself and cheer on somebody else that's still in. Okay? So if you turn your camera off, turn your microphone on and pick somebody to cheer for. Okay? Everybody ready? First round. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right, all you scissors, get your cameras off. Turn your microphones on and pick somebody in the grid that you're going to cheer for. Ready? 1, 2.
Go,
Judy!
Charlie,
Jim,
got
you're
it,
still
Eleanor.
in.
Good
job, Judy.
Scissors, get up.
Yeah, let me
Process
down.
of elimination. We're getting towards the end here. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Go,
Oh,
There you go, Eleanor, still in it.
Oh, everybody with scissors.
Nice work, Jim.
okay, next round. 1, 2, 3.
Break out, Kelly.
Hang in
Guys,
there.
you're still in there.
Next
Okay,
round.
Jim, you're out.
1,
Kelly's
2.
Come on, Eleanor.
Oh!
Nice, Jim.
Kelly, you're out.
Kelly.
Next round. 1,
Let's go, Susan.
Go, Susan.
Monica! Oh,
Susan.
Yeah.
Good job, Eleanor.
you're a fighter, Jim.
One,
Keep fighting, Jim. Let's go, man.
three.
Oh, Jim.
Yeah, Jim.
Go, Kelly.
Everybody's still in. Oh my
Susan.
God.
Susan.
All right, let's go, Kelly. Let's go,
Go,
Susan.
Jim.
Go,
Yeah,
Jim.
still in it. Susan. Susan. Go, Susan.
Oh.
Jim.
Oh, Monica, nice try.
Go, Jim.
Let's go, Jim.
Here
Let's
we
go,
go.
Susan.
One,
go, Susan.
Go, Jim. Go, Jim.
Susan.
Jim froze.
Right.
You got this.
oh, you got frozen. But Susan, I'm going to declare you the winner. Everybody bring your cameras back on. Give her a round of applause.
That's the best frozen image I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'll say. Perfect timing. Okay,
We
so let's
sent
play
Jim
this
so
game.
much love, he froze.
Yes, so much love, right? Let's play this game one more time. And Susan is who we're all going to play against. So make sure you can see Susan. And if you lose against Susan, turn your camera off. Okay? Susan, take yourself off of mute and you call it when we start. Ready?
Okay. 1, 2, 3. So then I just keep going, right?
You keep going. And papers,
Okay.
turn your cameras off.
1, 2,
Go,
3.
Robert. Go, Robert.
1, 2.
Go, Kim. Go, Kim.
Eleanor.
Ooh, Monica for the
1,
tie.
2, 3.
Go, Bob.
Bob.
Go, Tim. Go, Tim.
1, 2, 3. Oh, 3.
Tim.
Ooh, Tim for the
So
tie.
Joaquin.
Tim.
Ah, 1, 2, 3.
Let's go, Twanda.
Oh, Joaquin.
Oh,
1, 2, 3.
Let's go, Eleanor. Let's go, Tim.
Joaquin for the win.
Go, Tim.
1, 2, 3.
Come on, Joaquin.
Joaquin.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Joaquin. Still in there.
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Let's go.
Let's
go, Joaquin.
1, 2, 3.
Go, Joaquin.
Oh.
Look at both of them. Defeated. Okay, cameras on, everyone. Well done. Give her another round of applause.
Yay!
Susan is the two-time winner of the rock, paper, scissors tournament. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put everybody on mute because that was super fun. Did everybody like that game? Show of hands? Show of rocks? Show of scissors? Yeah? Awesome. Okay, we've got one more game to do today, and I'm going to share my screen for it because this is going to involve the annotation toolbar. All right, where are my slides? Here we go. Okay. All right, so this game has to do with the whiteboard function in Zoom. And there's two ways you can use the annotation toolbar. And the first is, ooh, somebody's already checking. I love it. The first is you can use the whiteboard when you share your screen and have people add stamps and add text. But it takes a little bit of education to teach people where the annotation toolbar is. And I'll show you in just a minute. But one of the neat things about Zoom is that if you want to share an image, you can do it easier in Jamboard or in Mural. And I have a whole training program that goes through how to do that. But what we're going to talk about today is how to stamp on an image. Okay? And if you look in your Zoom toolbar, there's 3 different ways you can get to the annotation toolbar. All right? You can either find it right there in the toolbar, or you might have to go to that green bar that says you are viewing Caelan Huntress's screen, and there's a drop down next to that. And so I want you to find the annotation toolbar, open it up, and select a stamp. We're going to use the star stamp to place a star on somewhere you dream of visiting someday. The Aurora Borealis is the first one. Great. Lots of Australia, lots of New Zealand. I love it. Mongolia, or where is that in Central Asia? Yeah, we've got some Finland, some Canada, the Straits of Magellan. Great, great. Now I'd like everybody to use the heart stamp and show us where you were born. Put a heart stamp where you were born. Good. Lots of Americans, some Kiwis, some Mexicans. Great, great. And now I'd like you to use the green check mark for somewhere that you have visited and it was your favorite place ever where you visited. Put the green check mark there. Lots of Europe. Yep. Yep, some Florida, some Central America. Great. Great. Somebody hand drawing a check mark. I love it. Awesome. Okay, so now I want you to use the red X, the cross. Show us a place you will never visit. Somewhere in the world you don't ever want to go. Yep, middle of the ocean. Middle East. A lot of Siberia. Yeah, there's not a lot happening in Siberia. True. Atlantis in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Who wants to go there, really? Yeah. Excellent. Great. Okay, so now that we have this community feedback, we have the foundation for a discussion. Playing a game like this, it can visually capture a lot of ideas from your group. And after you have those visual ideas that were sourced from your group, then you can have discussions and conversations about it. Seems like we have a lot of people born in America here today. A lot of people don't want to go to Siberia. Lots of people loved their first trip to Europe. Why was that? And you can facilitate discussions by starting with a game. And that's one of the things that I like to do with my Zoom meetings, is if I can get a game going. Sorry, I have to open my own annotation toolbar here real quick to make it all pretty, and then get to the home stretch of the presentation today. When you have a game that helps everybody cohere and come together, then you have a common foundation. And I go through a lot of the techniques and tactics on how to do this in the Zoom host checklist. Feel free to keep adding graffiti if you like, because this is a secret that most people don't tell you about Zoom. You can use the annotation toolbar not just on a whiteboard. You can do it anytime somebody's sharing a screen. If they're sharing slides, if they're sharing your desktop, if somebody's ever sharing a screen with you, you can do digital graffiti all over it. So keep doing some graffiti through the end of the session. As a reminder, I'm going to be here after we close. So if anybody has Q&A, feel free to stick around. But I want to tell you a little bit about a program I have that was based on a masterclass I taught back in May. Oh, this is going to be fun. I love the graffiti. Keep it coming. So I started by making the Zoom host checklist, and I found myself doing, yes, great question. And thank you for throwing it right on there. Voting with stamps is a great way to collect ideas. You can do an axis and say, vote for this and this quadrant, that and that quadrant, 1 to 10 on a line. I feel like I'm over here, I'm over there. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I have a whole program that goes through all of this. And it's called, beneath the graffiti, you can see it's called the Zoom Host Intensive. It awards a digital badge called the Virtual Facilitator Certification, which certifies you with 1 continuing education credit. The program consists of 4 90-minute training sessions, and these are the dates of my upcoming cohorts, which you may or may not be able to see underneath all of the graffiti. I'm just going to clear the graffiti real quick. Feel free to keep it coming. But if one of these dates seems to work for you and you'd like to attend the Zoom Host Intensive, go ahead and type your email in the chat box. You can send it in private message to me, or just type yes. Type yes in the chat box right now, and I'll follow up with you about the Zoom Host Intensive. It's an application process. So if you go to zoomhostintensive.com, you can fill out a brief application to apply to join the program. And we've got 4 daily 90-minute workshops happening in September and October, and 4 weekly 90-minute workshops happening in September and October. And so these are the start dates. And if you want to know more information about it, then then type yes in the chat box or go visit zoomhostintensive.com. You can get these slides at the link below. I'll also send it out to you with a link to the replay so that you can see the replay of this. But if you'd like to stick around and talk about Zoom and talk about leading meetings or anything techie, I'm going to hang out for about a half hour. But anybody who has to leave, thank you so much for spending time with me today, and go lead better Zoom meetings. Go have more fun on the internet. Have fun out there.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great spending time with you today.
This was great. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everyone.
So I would like to know, I didn't get to be on the roller coaster. I want to know how to do that.
Ah, the roller coaster. So the link that I put into Skype chat, that YouTube link, you can just watch it yourself and do it solo. Woo! It's actually kind of fun. I do solo roller coasters by myself sometime when I need to pick me up. But if you want to do it with others.
Okay, you know what? I missed that instruction. Yeah.
There we go. There was a link in.
Yeah, I see it now. I see it now, but I didn't hear that.
Yeah, my apologies.
My question is around that experience of trying to do the story and how clunky it got, and how you would move forward from that. Would you my solution would be to go into participants and number people myself, but even that, isn't going to necessarily help if there's one person that it always sort of falls off on because they're like so uncomfortable with the tech or whatever it is. Would you ever be like, okay, I'm gonna go with 7 people. I'm gonna take so-and-so out, or, to make the game work? Or is it more important to keep everybody not feeling like they're an idiot?
Great question, Eleanor. So what I would probably do differently if I wasn't trying to illustrate the breaking of a game is I would have a smaller group, 3 or 4 people. You can do it with 2 people, and just the back and forth gives a cadence and that variety and randomness. That's really the purpose of the game. But if you have a smaller group, it's less likely to cause friction. But to get to your question, what do you do when a game breaks? Bring it to the group. It seems like this isn't working. I think this might work easier if, and then pose a solution. What do you think, guys? Should we try that? And that's what I would do if something isn't working, is identify it and call it out, and then provide an option for a solution without saying this is what we're going to do. Offer it as an option, and then people can come along.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Anyone else have a question?
What was the song that we danced at the beginning of this meeting?
Oh, geez, there was a few. So I played ABC by the Jackson 5. I played the Black Eyed Peas were doing, what was that? I Got a Feeling. And then Pharrell Williams was singing Happy from Despicable Me 2. I'll go ahead and I'll share the link to the Spotify playlist here in the chat box.
You know what I saw on your the Zoom thing was Pictionary, and I wanted to see if you'd be willing to demo it.
Sure. Okay.
You put people into teams.
Well, let's see. If we're going to do Pictionary on, let's say, a whiteboard, I'll share a Zoom whiteboard, and I'll go ahead and do a fresh one. Now, anybody who's gonna be the demonstrator, like let's say we're gonna do a team with me, Eleanor, Hardy, and Robert, and another team is Bob, Sherry, Anna, Lily, and Alejandra. Okay, and so we're gonna rotate who has control of the whiteboard, and so we would use private chat to share like what actually I guess we wouldn't even need to share what it is first. Bob, nominate something for me because you're on the opposing team. Send me something in private chat that I have to draw and get my teammates to guess. Aha. So Bob has given me a challenging option. So somebody sets a timer for 60 seconds and then I draw. Guess, team. What am I drawing?
An elephant.
First
Dinosaur?
try. Well done.
Diner? All good.
Yeah.
Great. So that's Pictionary.
So would then, since logistics matter, would then you nominate somebody, or you would send like an idea to somebody on another team, on the other team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could either nominate verbally, or you can use Flippity to pick somebody. So I'll share with you this Flippity fixes all of my difficulty about who is going to do what. And they have all these great tools on here, and this is completely free. And so if you use Google Docs, you use a Google spreadsheet to change the names that populate this wheel so that you can click the wheel and have it spin and randomly select somebody. Marlon's going next. But you can also use that same sheet to do a random order of, okay, Catherine's going to go first, Dustin's second, Jessica's third, and this is super easy to use.
Huh. And so if you're on a Zoom, how do you get everybody's name into there?
Well, you know what? I'll do it right now. I'm going to show you how fast and easy this is. So over on flippity.net, I'm going to use the template and make a copy. All right. And there's two real steps here. I have to copy the names in of everybody on this meeting, and then I have to publish it to the web. So I'm just going to type everybody's name in here.
Could you go into
Eleanor.
Could you go into participants and pick up people's names? No, probably not.
You can't copy and paste. You do have to do it manually.
Okay. So I get the idea. You're amazing. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but if you want to. Cool.
Oh, I'm almost done. I'm almost done.
Right.
Watch. So I have everybody's name, and then I go to File, Publish to the Web. And then there's this other sheet down here at the bottom. I don't want this Google Docs sheet. I want this Flippity link right here. And then when I click that Flippity link, all of our names are in there. Who's going next? Took me under a minute.
Amazing.
That is fast.
Hardy, you're the winner. Hooray.
Skills.
Thanks.
A question about Jamboard and Mural and Miro. Pros and cons.
Oh boy. Okay, so Jamboard and Mural can both have people join without signing up. You have to do some permissions editing. For those of you who don't know, Jamboard is made by Google. It's in the Google suite, but it's made for a piece of hardware called a Jamboard. And they originally made it so that in a boardroom, you could draw things on it and your remote team could also draw on their Google Drive Jamboard. But now people are using it a lot for interactive video whiteboarding. And what's great about it compared to Zoom is that you can add images onto a Jamboard. And you put Post-it notes, and it's great for brainstorming. If you edit the permissions so anyone with the link can edit, then you can have people come in and participate without signing in. And Jamboard's free. That's the pro. The con is the tools are kind of clunky because it's made to be an add-on to a piece of hardware. Mural, however, is completely virtual, and they've got a real big suite of tools. They have a lot of templates. I love using Mural. I've been using it a lot for facilitating brainstorm sessions and work sessions, and it's been really great, but it does cost $15 a month. However, once you have a paid account, then you can edit the permissions link so that I can give a link into Zoom chat, and everybody on this call can hop in, and they don't have to sign in. Miro has a lot of the same capabilities, but in my view, Miro isn't great because you have to sign in. If I gave everybody a Miro link, you'd have to create an account if you wanted to participate in that whiteboard. So those are the pros and cons as I see them.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually go into detailed training on each of those in the Zoom Host Intensive. Well, Cassandra, Jason, thank you for joining us. We've gone through the 10 games. now we're just doing Q&A. So if you have any questions about Zoom or about leading meetings or performance, then I'm just here to answer whatever anyone
I
wants.
appreciate that. I caught about half of the meeting because of the fact that there was a work meeting happening at the same time. So I launched this and I was unable to be fully present, but I got some of them and I think they're great. One of the questions I had for you is how do you decide on the breakout sessions? Like right now we have, I would say about 15, 20 of us here. How do you decide who goes into what breakout room and how do you make that happen quickly?
Well, there's two ways to do it, Cassandra. There's there's random and pre-assigned. And so what I like to do is put in is just do random every time. And I remake them every time. So every time we go to a breakout room, there's more variety. And Zoom lets you pick how many breakout rooms you have. And if you say, I want more, you just hit the button and it goes 17, 18, 19, 20. And it'll tell you at the bottom, this will be 2 to 3 people. This will be 2 people. This will be 5 people. And so as you adjust the number of breakout rooms, it tells you on average how many people are going to be in that room. That's the random way to do it. If you want to pre-assign, then if you take registrations through Zoom, then you can actually upload a CSV that says, I want these people in this room and those people in that room. But
prior to the event?
Yes, prior to the event. But either way, when you're selecting how many rooms there are, the host gets a drag and drop option. So that I can say, oh, I don't want you in this room. I want you over here and you over there. And you can just manually assign.
It's kind of like seating people at the wedding. You want to make sure that you don't end up with the ex sitting with the mother-in-law or whatever.
Right. Yeah, true.
Caelan, if I knew that we were going to have, if I wanted one facilitator in each of those rooms and I wanted to pre-assign those, but then have everybody else randomized, is that easy enough?
Great question, and it is easy. What you would do is you would make your facilitators co-hosts. And co-hosts have the ability to hop between rooms. And so your facilitators would wait until everybody distributed, and then each of them would say, okay, I'm going to take breakout room 1, I'll take 2, I'll take 3, and then they proactively go there instead of being assigned there by the host.
What are your best practices around switching back and forth between sharing your slides and getting back into Zoom? I've been using Keynote, and it's a little bit clunky to go through sort of the steps to get to Keynote and then back to Zoom. And I noticed when you were taking us to one of your slides, you went through, I think Flippity, you went through, what is the Sign Lab or something, Sessions Lab?
Yeah.
So we see that. It doesn't bother me, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are about that, about sort of not showing the back end.
Well, it's a matter of style. And because I do Zoom training and I'm training people how to be better Zoom hosts, I like showing the back end. And when I'm, like if I'm in a training session and I'm talking about how to share screen, I'll go through the differences in sharing your desktop versus sharing this particular window. And if I'm sharing a window, it means that people are only going to see that. So I can share Keynote, people will see my slides, but if I click on a link and then launch a YouTube video and go and watch that, my audience doesn't come with me. And I might not know. And so that's why I always share a desktop by default, because I know whatever I see, that's what my group sees. So some people really like to hide that backstage mechanics because they want it to look like, it's a professional production. And I totally get that. But for my style, I like showing the mechanics because people are often asking me mechanically, how do you make that work?
Do you use the toggle a lot, the command tab, to toggle between back and forth between things?
I don't. I know that some people have multiple screens and they use hotkeys to manage a lot of different things. And I'm pretty simple. I like having just, share the desktop. I'll take you on the journey from place to place. So for instance, today you saw Session Lab, and that's a tool that I use for planning my meetings so that I can plan by minute what I'm going to do. Is this going to be a breakout room? Is this going to be an exercise? Is this going to be an energizer? And it's a great tool for that.
I just learned about it, and I found what happened for me was that I couldn't in my meetings switch back and forth to Sessions Lab to remind myself of what was next. I have to have it written down and in front of me, or at least on a Post-it note.
Well, this is what I do, is I have Session Lab loaded on my phone. So throughout the meeting today, I wasn't going to it on the screen. I was looking at it over here.
It's those hot tips that I'm coming for.
Nice. Glad to hear it, Eleanor. Great, because I'm full of hot tips.
I'm wondering if you know anything about integrating Zoom with Crowdcast. I've read that it can be done, and I just haven't figured out how to do it.
Great question, Hardy. I've used them independently, and I've never tried to integrate them because I love Crowdcast. I think Crowdcast is one of the best video conferencing solutions out there, but it's more for one-to-many than many-to-many. What Zoom can do is we can have a meeting or a webinar. And here we're in a meeting because everybody can have their cameras on and everybody can interact. But in a webinar, it's one-to-many. And so you register for the webinar and you watch somebody talk, but you don't get to really participate. And Crowdcast has a different delineation of capabilities, but it mostly leans to that one-to-many side where there's one presenter and then there's other people who come in the chat box. They can be called on to come up, but it generally doesn't have the interactivity that Zoom does. So I see those as they have different use cases, but I'm wondering how you would integrate them. Like, what is it that you want to take from Zoom into Crowdcast?
Well, I'd love to be able to, whilst, you still there? Something.
Yeah, I'm here. Technical
Okay.
difficulties. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so love to be able to like bring volunteers on stage basically because we're doing these virtual school assembly programs or be able to, it says there's a way to integrate them. So if there's kids who are viewing through Zoom, we could see them as well. It would be cool, but I don't know. I haven't.
I'm guessing it has to do with registration. You know, if somebody registers through Zoom, maybe they would watch in the Zoom app and then that Zoom feed would be a participant in Crowdcast.
Well, we have had that. We've had teachers sharing their screen. So they have their whole class watching on Zoom. They're sharing their screen. They're logged into Crowdcast and they're sharing their screen. But we can't interact with them.
So teachers who are in Crowdcast and can't interact. And so the Zoom integration is going to help them interact through Zoom and through Crowdcast. That would be the progression?
So, okay, rather than each student registering with our Crowdcast presentation, the teacher registers and then she simply shares her screen. So her whole class is there with her through Zoom watching the.
I see. So you've got a Crowdcast presentation, the teacher's watching that and then streaming it through Zoom to the students who are watching through Zoom. I see. I see. Well,
correct. Now
well, it seems to be
actually integrated.
Oh, you're kind of breaking up. I didn't hear that last part, Hardy.
That's okay. You talk.
Okay, so I'm thinking it would be more a screen sharing integration that wouldn't require any API or any backend engineering. It would really be, you know, she starts a Zoom meeting with her class, shares the screen, and then goes to Crowdcast and watches your assembly in full screen.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. That is what has been working, but I was hoping for a way to be able to play the games as well, to actually be doing something Zoom-like on Crowdcast.
That's tough. I don't think there's a way to do that without your teacher being the manual transmission of somebody has a question and this is what it is. You could, but you know what you could do is you could use a separate third-party interaction tool. You know, you could use Discord, for example. You could have a Discord channel, run it. So you'd have three platforms. You'd have your Crowdcast event that you're running, the Zoom session that your teacher's running, and the Discord channel that everybody is on at the same time. And a lot of kids use Discord. They use it for gaming chat, and you can use it for voice chat. So there, yeah, I think that Discord or a third-party workaround might be the way to go.
Thank you. Yeah, my
Great.
kiddo
I'll
definitely is.
on that 1 sec.
Yeah, Jason.
Hardy, that's an integration that I've done a little bit of, and here's how I use it is like I really like Zoom for stability and for the familiarity with people. People use it really easily. So I often use Zoom as the carrying platform for the speakers and the guests and stuff. And then I screen capture that into Crowdcast where my viewers are watching. So my viewers are logged in and registered to a Crowdcast event, but what they're seeing is a screen capture from Zoom, because I find Zoom right now is far more stable than Crowdcast actually. There's a lot of Crowdcast crashing that's happening. And all of my speakers are really familiar with Zoom, so it just works really fluidly as a green room internal, as the production room. And then I'm pushing that out into Crowdcast so that my viewers have the Crowdcast interface, the polling, the Q&A, the upvoting, kind of that. So that's how I use that one a lot.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jason. That's great. I like that.
I have two quick questions, and they're not necessarily Zoom focused. I apologize for that. So one of them is I'm on your page and I'm filling out this form, and you have a landing bot on your page when it says get started, and when I open it, I get to fill out the information. I just really like that toy. Could you tell me what the name of it is?
Oh, it's a toggle in the Divi theme in WordPress.
Oh, I got you. So it's part of your theme. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with Divi. I haven't used it yet, but that gives me a lead. The other question that I have is, in my position at work, this is completely speculative and I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall, but in my position at work, I have access to a whole bunch of charter school leaders and charter school teachers. It occurs to me that the kind of training that you provide would be something that would be value add for us to present to them, and an opportunity for you to get up in front of an audience. So I'm wondering if you'd be interested in exploring that partnership, a position where we would create the connection, we would probably lend the platform, and then you get to present to a bunch of teachers.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I'm interested in that.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk via email, I'm guessing, too.
Let's do. Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to my scheduling calendar and we'll connect.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks so much.
Great.
I'm going to run.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
I've got a technical question, and it's like I find using the whiteboard on Zoom archaic and love to connect. I mean, I'm primarily Windows, except for an iPad Pro or even my phone. So I'd like to use that for taking people through a drawing, for example. Do you find is it an easy connect, or do I need, like, I have two questions. One is that, and having two cameras set and switching between cameras. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what are your recommendations on that?
Oh, well, I find that iPad connections are pretty easy. You know, it's really, you plug it in. When you share a screen, you say it's an external device. You might have to jump through a couple of hoops to get your PC computer to recognize the iPad, but generally it's going to say, oh, okay, I'm just going to treat this like a video port, and I'll just show whatever's on the screen. Okay. And so then you open a notes program, you draw around, and you're good to go. So I think that part should be pretty simple.
All right, great.
For multi-camera, there's a couple of like cameras get really technical, but the easiest way that Zoom has it is that you can just switch from one camera to another in the Zoom toolbar, and you say, hey, I don't want to use this camera, I want to use my webcam, or I want to use this beta program that I'm using right now called this has a whole lot of different capabilities, but it's brand new. It's in beta. And so it's still kind of glitchy, but Zoom recognizes it as a camera feed. And so whatever I do in this app, Zoom just says, oh, okay, this is another camera feed that I'm selecting. And whatever camera you're using on the stop video button in Zoom, there's that arrow, and you just click on that and then select a different camera. And as long as it's a camera that's recognized by your system, then Zoom will switch between them.
Okay, I'm sure there's a hotkey for that to switch cameras as well.
You know, there might be. You might have to set which camera is set for which hotkey.
Right, okay.
But yeah, it's, you know, I know there's a hotkey with Ecamm Live.
Yes.
And Ecamm Live that's what Matt Church uses. That's what, before this new app came along, it was the only way to do any sort of screen in a Zoom feed for your Square. But now there's some software solutions. But previously what people have been using is the hardware in Ecamm Live.
Yeah, but Ecamm Live is Apple only though, isn't it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Ecamm Live's only for Apple.
See, I'm Apple only, so I didn't know that.
So that was the catch. So have you used OBE, or is that not needed with Zoom?
Do you mean OBS?
Yeah, so it's where when you're presenting, and then
Yeah, I use OBE a lot. It's really fun. It's a great handshake between, like, if I want to do something on Zoom and I also want to stream it live on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or anywhere else, then OBS is the intermediary. And what I like about OBS is previous to this new app coming out, previous to that, OBS was one of the only ways that I could effectively share my screen on a Facebook Live. Or and it lets you you can adjust. I want the screen to be this big. I want this camera feed to be that big, and that camera feed to be this big. And so it lets you display the canvas in a really customized manner.
Right. Okay. All right.
And Ecamm Live is just like OBS, only a little fancier, is my understanding. I've been using Ecamm Live in place of OBS.
Nice. How was that upgrade?
I didn't get too far with OBS before I went with Ecamm Live, because I tried out Ecamm Live and everything just made sense to me, whereas OBS, I was working harder to understand everything. I also just discovered how to use my phone as a camera, which is better than either the webcam that I have or the computer. But then we were doing a crowdcast with it, and the software that makes it able to do it, Epoch Cam or something like that it's called, there's two of them, Epoch Cam and Shoot. They're a little glitchy, funky, but it works so well when it's working, and it looks so much better than any other camera. But anyway.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really clever because smartphones have such great cameras. It makes sense to use it as an inline feed.
Yeah.
Thanks, Caelan. Thanks, Hardy.
Thank you,
Good
Bob.
day.
Thank you very much. Caelan, one more quick question. And when you're talking about your music there, it came up for me, like, is there any problems with, what do you call it, like copyright stuff when you're playing music on Crowdcasts or Zooms, or
if it's live,
that you know of?
If it's live, there's generally not. There's some, I can't, since I'm not an intellectual property attorney, I can't really say, do you have to get licensed for events? Because for some live events, and then for other events, if it's you and 50 people in a meeting hall and you play some music at the beginning, it's not a big deal because you're using it for your personal use for your group. The division between personal and commercial starts to get hazy if you're hosting an event for commercial purposes. But I'll tell you the one snag that I frequently run into is when I do a dance party at the beginning of a webinar, and then I upload the recording to YouTube. YouTube hits me for copyright infringement, because I'm playing music that I don't have the license to, even though it's, like a couple dozen people just dancing around. They say, well, you're putting this on YouTube and our algorithm detected that you're using this song from the Jackson 5 and you don't have permission. So what YouTube does is they just say that I can't monetize when that happens, but they leave it up.
Oh, really? Huh. That's interesting, because Kai's YouTube channel got shut down because he used a song that he actually thought was copyright free or whatever, but somehow their algorithm caught it as that it was an infringement, and yeah, they shut down his channel.
Well, was it the music? Was the music in the entire video?
Oh, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, he's like drawing and there's music behind it.
Yeah.
But he's
So
not
they'll look
monetizing it or anything.
Right. But because if he's got a new channel and he doesn't have a whole lot of subscribers, and they see music pop up and it takes the whole length of the video, that's a red flag for that.
Gotcha. Got it. Interesting. Well, speaking of copyright stuff, we got an email the other day. Well, or I got one like a little while back that said, "Hey, you have this up on your website," and it was from like forever ago, like maybe when you made the website. That was like the background image of an image about driving on biodiesel, and it said that this belongs to someone. There's a infringement, and take it down. I took it down, and then I got another email that said had the same image and said, "You owe 500 and whatever dollars for back use of it." Do I just ignore it? And they say they're not a lawyer; they're collecting for the owner of the image or something like that.
Ooh, that sounds fishy.
Just let it go. Let it go.
I'd say if it's a letter, ignore it. If you start seeing court paperwork, get a lawyer and get some advice. But it sounds to me like the sort of thing that somebody would do trying to scrape up money by scaring people up at the thought of legal action.
Yeah, that's what my thought is too. All right, if they escalate it, then I'll show it to a friend who's a lawyer, and then take it from there.
Yeah,
that seems good.
Yeah,
Cool.
Well, good luck with that. That sounds lame. Sorry that happened.
Yeah. Last night I was working on the website. It's so ironic because I was looking for your video that shows me once again for the 5th time watching it how to change my homepage. And the reason why I was looking for it is because when I went to the widgets where it lives, all the stuff that says like header and all that stuff was gone. And I was like, what the heck's going on? So I went to find your video again through my emails. And when I went there, an email came up that said you had a fatal error it was from WordPress and said there was a fatal error. And I basically called Bluehost and they found it. It was like Google Analytica. It was some plugin that brought up, and they fixed it. We discontinued that plugin, and everything came back, and it was all good. But it was very odd.
I'm glad it didn't take your site. Wow.
Yeah. So anyhow, Caelan, it's great to see you, and that was super fun. You did a great job leading that. It's really cool. I hope you get lots of sign-ups.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I'm thinking about doing it, like I'm sending the replay around, but I think that part of the fun of this is doing it live. And I'm guessing that more teachers are going to be interested in doing this to share, to teach to their classes. So I'm thinking about, doing these more regularly.
Yeah, so we just did outreach to teachers, and normally we do that at this time of year to get, so they can sign up for their free assemblies and whatnot. And we did a crowdcast today that was like a 10-minute demo of what our virtual assemblies are all about. And wow, are we not getting the response that we usually get? And I think it's what we talked about. It's just total shit show time right now. They're starting the school year and are absolutely dumbfounded as to what is happening.
Yeah.
So it's just timing, I think.
Yeah. I think this is a hard season to sell anything because everybody's having to they need new processes for everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's been great to see you. Thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, great to see you. It was big fun. I liked it a lot. It was great.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Cool. All right. Well, I'm sure
you seem healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I am feeling much better. Yeah. You're going to go surfing today, or have you already surfed?
I think I am going to go surfing. A huge great white shark sighting just a couple days ago right here. But I am going to go anyway right now. And there's also fires everywhere, so there's a lot of smoke. But time to go surfing.
Yeah. And if you see that great white, give him a punch in the fin for me.
Okay. All right, Caelan, take good care.
You too, Hardy. Have fun out there.
Thank you. Bye-bye.